Hey guys, StarCraft here, and doing it with the headphones seemed to go pretty well last time, so I'm gonna stick with it from now on. So today, those of you who didn't see my thumbnails on Twitter, I'm gonna stick around with another crossover. This one though is a bit different, and has more of a collection of other crossovers, and one that both was done in the comics. It also is more well regarded in both for the crossover itself and when the characters involved for a team up in the cartoons. I am talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo. By the way, hey, Kevin Eastman signed this. Oh, he did some covers in this, and of course the Turtles and all that, so why wouldn't I? Yeah, Ninja Turtles, not much to need to be said about them. But Usagi Yojimbo, for those of you who don't know, is, he's a rabbit samurai. Now, his name is not really Usagi Yojimbo, because a Yojimbo just simply means, it basically stands for Bunny Bodyguard. His name is still Usagi, but his last name is Miyamoto Usagi. And yeah, he lives in a world where most of the animals are sentient and anthropomorphized, and yeah, and it's been going on for a long time. Created by Stan Sakai, who does most of the stuff in this. So let's just waste no time as we just dive right in. As we open up with, I told you, this is not going to be that long of a video, I hope. As we open up, well, first, this is in the Ninja Turtles anthology, Turtle Soup. You know, what Shredder wanted to always turn him into. And it opens up with Leonardo falling through some, after some Time Lord zapped him. This was set after the events of the original Mirage TMNT number 8. As he lands right in the middle of a battle. First he sees a bunch of weird, animal samurais as he fights them off. At the same time, Usagi is dealing with a bunch of ninjas. And, samurais, ninjas, never getting along. As the fights basically intercept and, mix up. And eventually they take them all out, and the two are looking at each other, thinking, only one left, no doubt the most dangerous of all. As they charge at each other, Leo disappears as Usagi slams into a tree. I hate ninja. As Leo arrives back home and, wait, Mom and Dad? Anyway, though, he ends up crashing into everyone. Basically, it's a short story. He ends up back, and it's a nice little goofy story, but it's sweet. No, not sweet. Why am I saying sweet? It's cute, sorry. And Stan Sakai's style, it really holds himself to the Turtles in his own way. The next time the two would be, would be in the backup story for Usagi Yojimbo number 10. This one written and drawn by the Turtles Co-Creator Peter Laird. A very different style. But we open up with these kids, fooling around, just ordering each other around, saying, I am a samurai. As Usagi talks to them, basically saying, a true samurai is not so arrogant. Let me tell you a story. When I was younger, and having just finished my training with my swordmaster, I went wandering, searching for old challenges. One day, I chanced upon a chubby priest sleeping by a river. As he basically walks up to the priest and takes his bow and arrow, threatening him with it, basically saying how, help me across or I will pin you to that tree like a fat beetle. As he basically decides, all right, I'll carry you around. And Usagi, he's being arrogant as he says, this is the only way to travel. Priest, you should hire yourself out as a ferry boat. Ha ha. And then all of a sudden he shrieks and falls down as the priest says, basically let him fall into the water as he gets up and basically chews him out, saying, I almost drowned, blast you. But then saying, surely, how long has he been down there? When Leonardo comes up and, basically he's here for a rematch just to test his skills as a swordsman. As they start dueling, clashing with each other. until eventually Leo had tired Usagi out where he slipped, not minding his surrounding, as Leo points his blade at him, and then decides obviously he wasn't going to do anything as he picks him up and the two shake hands before he disappears. And the kids realize, okay, lesson learned. Again, another short story. And we'll get into another one. This was from the other Ninja Turtles anthology, Shell Shock. As Leo is running back to Stan Sakai, and for the rest of this, it's going to be Stan Sakai. As he's running across the rooftop with pizza, as everyone's watching the Magnificent Seven, of course. As he's thinking we should have had to deliver it, as he jumps and then all of a sudden transports again, landing right in the middle of seeing Usagi dealing with a bunch of ninjas. As they're telling him, we know you carried a secret treaty. Give it to us and you will leave in peace. You have no chance against all of us. As, Leo comes running, much to Usagi's surprise, as they they start fighting, and then a smoke bomb as they disappear. As Leo picks up the pizza. Usagi looks at it, but as he explains how, basically it's a treaty to help a town out. And as they keep on walking, they're being followed. And again, they're just explaining everything. Leo reveals he's originally from the sewers, which then perplexes Usagi. And, next thing we know, the ninjas show up again. They all fight. And the ninjas trample on the pizza, I might add. When all of a sudden, they apprehend the woman that's been following them. And, Usagi demands they release them, but he gives them what he wants, the treaty, and basically they leave. Leo feels and we gotta catch them. But we reveal then, turns out the document they gave was a fake. And the woman in question is Tomoe, the chief's retainer, and the chief retainer to Lord Noriyuki. Tomoe would be Usagi's longtime love interest. And, basically revealing that Usagi was just a decoy while she carried the real treaty. Basically, it'll take them a while before they realize it was fake, but then by then they'll have the real treaty. As Tomoe looks at the pizza and gives it back to Leo before he disappears. And as he returns back, crashing into April's apartment, bringing the pizza right as the show ends. And they're all telling him, basically saying this is pizza? Almost makes you want to swear off this sort of thing, doesn't it? Yuck, it looks like it's been trampled on by a horde of ninjas. And Leo explains everything to April, and April's like, not the killer bunny stories again. Funny. Now, eventually, Usagi Yojimbo would go over to Mirage Studio for a good length of time, and to celebrate, the first 3 issues would be a crossover. Of course. As we we open up with Usagi and his friend Jen, a rhino. I should point out, actually, in what I have here, this is all in black and white. But as you see here, these were in color. I don't know which is better, to be honest. But yeah, they're on a mountainside as they are trapped by a bunch of ninjas that come in and fight as the two fight them and take them out. The interesting thing about this is, despite there's a lot of violence, but there's almost no blood, and I give them props for that. As they deal with them for a moment before it's mentioned how there's archers ready to shoot at them. So they jump and land in the water. Some of the other ninjas continue forward, but they go through a rapid until they get out of there, having a bit of an argument before someone's there ready to jump them. They charge at him, and whoever it was takes them out, revealing to be a rat, who looks very much like Master Splinter, and that's intentional. As he basically, he's figuring out they've been through a lot. They introduce themselves to him, or more Usagi does, and the guy reveals himself as Kakera, who needs their help. As he leads them to a town, basically saying how the Neko ninjas showed up 2 days ago and encircled the village. No one can leave or has come into this area except for those two. And when they ask, what are they after? they want Kekara because of his magic. As we're introduced to, and we're seeing, we, the readers anyway, and the new readers, are introduced to Shizu, the sister of the leader of the Neko Ninjas, who's talking with one of her advisors, Gunji, who and tells him he's basically expending too many and too many resources to get Kekara, basically. And hold on. And Gunji feels like they should continue showing force, and while she agrees, the abduction of Kekara is too risky and too wasteful. The entire village will have to be destroyed to keep their involvement secret. To which she's, of course, accused of being too soft-hearted. As basically it's pointed out how Lord Hakiji has been recruiting a bunch of other ninjas for his favor. She feels there's nothing they can handle, but he thinks they will ruin them. They start arguing a bit, and basically it's revealed these two are executive officers and all that. When all of a sudden we see these Komori spies fly through it, they take them down. This is obviously a lot more Usagi related stuff. As she's finding like they spied, so it's like you're right. There's only one way to respond to that, and that's war. As we then focus on Kekara, who feels like they were almost summoned there in some ways, even in and somebody could take even subtle forms, and that's what brought them there. As someone brings before them like a bag of something. We don't know what it is yet, but they are confused for a moment. Go on. Okay. So yeah, it's revealed. Sorry, that it was the people that went in for the attack, and revealing that they draw. That now this is of course going to lead to a bigger fight, and when that says that you fight a ninja, you need a ninja. So he asks for someone to bring him 4 turtles. As Kekara starts muttering something until he starts saying these words: Ten, Chi, Dabutsu, Kame, which stands for Heaven, Earth, Animals, Turtles. And as the 4 turtles appear, everyone is completely stunned, ending this first issue. Nice so far, nice build up on what the stakes are. And at least a decent summary if you just join in this version. As the turtles, 3 of them anyway, are completely ready. Mikey, Raph, and Donnie are ready to fight. So is Jen. Until Leo starts saying, like, I know one of them. Good to see you again, Usagi. The honor is mine, Leonardo-san. As now they find his brothers realize, hey, son of a gun, he was telling the truth. As they introduce themselves, Kakura informs them they are in Sakura by the Neko clan, and basically they're here to help. Leo says they'll help. We see one guy's on guard duty who unfortunately, and who calls them all about the guards, but unfortunately the guy got killed. And you can definitely tell because there's a little speech bubble with a skull on it. They chase them all off. As the turtles continue following them, and they do at least get one of them taking his telling him to give up. He won't, so Usagi kills him. And the one guy just keeps on running as Leo continues to give chase, following him to where they were, to where they're located in these old temple. He makes his way in and tries to report that the rat is back in the village. When asked where his partner is, he states he was killed. And basically when he says that he is overseeing the whole operation, and he will answer to him. Which basically then says they later meet up again with Shizu and explains how, they have 4 turtles, the rhino, and a long-eared samurai. And basically they're ready to, Kuji and Kunji is basically saying, is ready to go in for a fight, even though Shizu feels it's getting way too complicated. We didn't see Kakura and the turtles are just, let me rephrase that. Usagi asked Kakura about his wizardry, but of course Kakura says it's not magic. He's just in symphony with the tides of nature, kind of a Zen sort of thing. As we then have Mikey starts asking the big questions like, "So you evolved from humans, right? Evolved?" And then Usagi states, "No, we were always given this form." Then he finally asks the big question of, do they all look like you? To which Mikey states, "Nah, they're kind of unique." But then he asks the big question of, "Do you guys have tails?" To which Jen says, "Hey, don't get personal. At least we wear clothes." Soon, an attack comes in. Or they hear about an attack coming in as they go in charging and fighting them all off. And I just love this. All this action as they just keep fighting until it's revealed they're attacking the south wall. They head over there and again keep on fighting, doing what they can. With some of them, just an incredible brawl until they all disappear. And it's revealed they captured Kekara, ending the second issue. We then start off the third and final one as Kunji is basically telling Shizu to admit that his plan worked. And of course, Shizu mentions how they still got to get him out of there, but it's basically showing the politics of the Neku tribe. It's Kunji basically feels like basically offering, "You could be my consort instead." And she, of course, refuses to do so as she leaves. As the turtles and Usagi and Jen are all walking through, as Leo starts to collapse. Turns out he's really bleeding. His bandages are soaked through. But he still wants to get through. They need to get the Kekara. Might help that they might remind him of Splinter, which again was part of the point. As Jen continues going on through until he sets a trap, and one of the turtles tackles him out of the way. He thinks them, and basically they reveal that they are on the right trail. They soon make their way there until one of the ninjas comes wondering what's down there, and he gets ambushed. They keep on taking all of them out, each at a time, making their way into the city. Until it starts leading into a bit of a fight. As they keep on looking for Kekara, and Usagi realizes there's wagon tracks, and he follows after them. The rest of them all meet up, wondering, where did he go? And points out how the ninjas would rather die than gather up any information. Kunji and Shizu, with Kakura in tow, decided to take a moment to rest, as Shizu decides, to do so. Until she's surrounded, and Kunji finally reveals he's about to make its move, when Usagi runs in and starts fighting off a bunch of the other men loyal to Kunji. But Shizu and Kunji fight it out, revealing that the staff that Shizu has a blade in it. The two keep on fighting in a very impressive fight until Kunji finally collapses dead. She then walks up to Usagi. "You are Miyamoto Usagi, who aided our clan against Lord Takamoto and the Dragon Bellow conspiracy." "I am." Shinjin, my brother, spoke most highly of you. His praise, though, did not do your justice to your skills, as she kisses him. "I am Shizu." And she basically leaves, saying that Kekru is yours. We have no more interest in him. She then basically feels like, wait, Shinjin has a sister? But he decides to brush it off as he decides to try and find where Kekara is, and sure enough, he's in the wood pile. They make their way over there, and, things start to wrap up, As they all say goodbye, say next time we meet up at our place. Sadly, doesn't happen. As Kekura returns them to normal, and Usagi and Jen go their separate ways. I like this particular crossover. The turtles do serve a purpose. Well, as much as they do serve a purpose in this, without taking away from Usagi, but it still tells a nice, fun story that, in this case, progresses Usagi's side of things along. The turtles again are just here as backup, and that's a good thing if you ask me. That way they don't take up too much, and it doesn't cause anyone working on the turtles to have to rely on everything. Now we get into the final story, the last one that was basically the IDW crossover. And I should point out, the turtles we have in this one are the IDW turtles, not the original turtles, which actually does get mentioned because Usagi has stayed the same. We open up with Usagi fighting off a bunch of other hooligans, taking them all out until he meets up with a group of sorry, let me rephrase that first. He keeps fighting them off until he finally scares them off after taking out one more. Then the people he helped thanked him and basically said, tell them that they knew that he would rescue them, and that the old one assured us that you would protect on our pilgrimage. And when he says the old one, they point him towards the cave as he makes his way there. When after a little bit of trekking, he soon makes it there and finds Kekura again. And he admits he was not expecting it. But Kekura reveals that he has a very important task, to which Usagi says, so you require Yojimbo. And but when mentioned how he doesn't, his skills alone aren't much for that, he will need companions, to which Usagi knows what he means. As he gathers up 4 turtles, bring them before him, and he mentions the words again, Ku, Chi, Ka, Sa, Su, Fu. Okay, different words, but they translate to void, earth, fire, water, wind, and finally, Kame, turtle. And I like how in the last one, Usagi just described his words getting all put on ends. In this case, we see it. As the 4 turtles show up, but they're all speaking English. And Usagi doesn't know what they're saying. They all charge, and unlike last time where they had Leo who could stop it, this case there's no such thing as they're all fighting. They keep fighting, and even when Usagi tries to call to Leo basically says, Mike is the only one of us who speaks Japanese, but it's obvious you're some mutant baddie, to which Usagi says, you are not the Leo I know. Are you a demon who has possessed him? They keep on fighting and clashing it out, until finally Kakura tells them all to stop, in a way that they now all understand each other. Although even though it feels like to them they're speaking their own respective language. As he basically then reveals why he brought him forth. There's a mystical saint area that's falling apart. And he shows what is a part of the problem. A rock. And everyone gasps before they realize it's a rock. As he then reveals the tale of the catfish named Namazu, which moved around the earth, originally causing earthquakes, until one of the greatest deities, Kashimi no Okami, the god of thunder, fought the creature. The lands were nearly torn apart by the struggle, but Kashima finally subdued Nazamu, trapping it under a massive rock called Kanamishi. But then during at one point, what bit of the rock stayed jutted out, it was knocked off by during a dispute among the gods. And because of that, it's slowly been diminishing its powers, as the rock has traveled through many other hands until it's in Kakura's possession. And they need to do this before Namazu reawakens again. And basically, they and the earthquakes will all start up again. And they say the route will be perilous. Feeling though there's nothing they can handle, but Usagi asks what danger it will face. It then reveals though that their opponent is a gaunt figure of unimaginable evil. And that is one of Usagi's regular villains, Jay. And Jay has basically, he fights like a demon, and he's gathered up all those men and the ones that Usagi dealt with earlier, as they're basically he wants to ensure that Namazu comes back. As he's basically saying how the country's on the verge of destruction. If there's no land, there's no more evil, and this way is why we must stop them. And one guy decides he's out of there. GA decides to stab him and drain him of his energy. Basically say, if you will not follow me through greed, you will follow me through fear. And will anyone else leave? I thought not. As Usagi and the Turtles and Kekura arrive at the Kashima shrine, until the end, and Jay's there with all of his men. They come in for an attack, leading into, well, basically a big fight as they confront each other, and, well, they just get Jay and Leonardo deal with Jay, and Usagi and Leonardo deal with Jay as Kakura fights his way through, making his way towards the rock as he picks out his piece. Rocks are starting to shake as Nazuma is starting to reawaken. And then we get a few splash pages of all the turtles and Usagi and Jay fighting as Kakura starts his own incantations. They all keep fighting and fighting as Kakura continues on until he finally goes, Ten, Su, Ka, Chi, heaven, water, fire, earth. As a big blast happens, knocking Jay aside, knocking everyone out, until Usagi wakes up, shaking off a spider off of him, and it's basically revealed that things have been resolved. The only sacrifice was Kakura's hand. As now we find out that the stone has gone further underground, no longer a chance of being an issue. As it's then made very clear that there's no more need for them. They must be sent back, despite Leo wanting to stick around. But they all thank each other, says, once again, maybe next time, as Kakura returns them all to normal. Basically, they decided they are back to where they are needed, and Usagi picks up the turtles to take them to a pond. And he wishes Kakura farewell, saying, he wishes Usagi farewell, until he meets them again as Usagi leaves to drop the turtles off. And that's pretty much it. Bunch of separate stories all building up to something. And while the 3 issues obviously had the more story being told, I'm more leaning towards the Ninja Turtle, the actual one-shot, personally, because it was nice, self-contained. You didn't need to know much about what was going on besides what they informed. A lot of great action, although maybe too much action. But it was just a nice little thing where the turtles were needed for something, and that was it. Yeah, and you can see by the artwork stance, Sakai's artwork is great. The coloring, especially on this one, is the only one that's colored in the book. In that book I have, it is just phenomenal. Now, there's a lot of covers and other extra features, but we're not going over those because there's no many scans of them, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's Ninja Turtles Usagi, showing why these guys are great teams and why Usagi is practically always going to be linked to the Turtles. And, man, that's pretty much it. Tomorrow, provided how things go with my algorithms and the video of whether that gets taken down, I will probably be doing Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica. But until then, catch you guys later.